Chosen one, what if I told you heaven's been preparing this moment your whole life, and now it's your turn to rise? This is why you were born. Unleash your light. You felt the pull in your spirit, the longing for something more than this world offers. Your heart has known trials that seemed unfair, doubts that whispered you'd never belong, and moments when the weight of purpose felt too great to bear. But those experiences are not mistakes. They are the precise training that set you apart for this season. Hidden truths about your identity, your calling, and the divine plan unfolding through you are now emerging. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll see that every step you've taken has led you to this exact divine appointment. You were crafted for this time. They have labeled you odd, told you that your passion was too fiery, your dreams too grand, your heart too vulnerable. You have sat in rooms filled with people who couldn't grasp why you felt so deeply, who mistook your sensitivity for weakness and tried to dim your flame. Yet here you stand, knowing that every difference they mocked was the divine fingerprint marking you for purpose. You were not an accident. You are the result of infinite intention. Those nights you cried alone, questioning your place in a world that seemed set against you. Each tear was a droplet in the river that shaped your destiny. You are not alone in this. Countless chosen ones have wondered if their unique wiring was a curse, only to discover it was their greatest gift. Tonight, you will see how every nuance of your life, every heartache, curiosity, and victory was meticulously orchestrated to bring you to this exact moment. Prepare to embrace the truth that you were crafted for this time. There was a season when you longed for normalcy, for the comforting anonymity of blending into the crowd. You watched others follow well-trodden paths, college, stable jobs, predictable routines, and felt a pang of both envy and relief. You tried to fit their mold, silencing your unusual ideas and masking your intense convictions, hoping to unlock acceptance. Yet every attempt to conform left you hollow and restless. You reheard their laughter at your jokes and felt the sting of their polite nods at your passions. In those moments, doubt crept in. If your calling required such isolation, was it truly worth pursuing? The emotional toll of feeling perpetually out of step compounded every setback. Failure felt like proof of unworthiness, not a step toward refinement. In the echo of those fears, however, the first sparks of your destiny flickered, beckoning you toward the life you were meant to live. Then came the revelation that shifted everything. Your struggles were not detours, but the very terrain upon which your calling took shape. In the little-known prophecy of Zechariah 3 verse 12 it announces, "I will bring forth a remnant, those whose hearts are humble and whose souls tremble at my word." You understood that your humility in hardship and trembling before truth were not liabilities, but badges of readiness. The quirks that set you apart were not flaws to be corrected, but tools of distinction to wield in service of others. In that moment, frustration gave way to purpose, and the fire of your unique spirit ignited with clarity. Every pain you endured was a chiseling blow shaping you into an instrument of divine impact. You stood in renewed faith, knowing that your journey through marginalization had been the covert training ground for leadership. As this truth took root, you began to notice subtle but undeniable shifts in your everyday life. Opportunities arrived not by networking, but through instinctual nudges toward places where your gifts could flourish. Unlikely mentors crossed your path, recognizing in you the qualities they had once honed through their own trials. You found that conversations flowed with greater depth and authenticity, as though your willingness to stand alone invited others to reveal their own truths. Projects that had stagnated now gained momentum, propelled by the unique perspective only you could bring. Even your morning ritual, once a rushed routine, became a sacred pause, a moment to reaffirm the divine blueprint guiding your steps. These changes were not random. They were the footprints of destiny aligning around your awakened purpose. While these transformations unfolded, you discovered that unseen forces were orchestrating your ascent. Synchronicities, like the book that fell off the shelf to your hand at the perfect moment, or the unexpected compliment that steeled your courage, revealed a divine choreography. Moments of divine timing became so frequent that you began to anticipate the gentle tug of direction from beyond. Angels seen and unseen ministered to you in the stillness, reinforcing your resolve whenever doubt tried to whisper you back into hiding. Even those setbacks meant to dissuade you. Closed doors, canceled meetings, failed launches turned out to be divine detours, steering you toward more fitting arenas for influence. Faith ceased to be a passive concept and became the dynamic force animating every breakthrough in your path. Yet despite these signs, you may sense a hesitation, a whisper that wonders if stepping fully into your crafted role is too risky. Many resist embracing their unique calling out of fear of exposure. What if their differences finally shine, only to be ridiculed again? They cling to the safety of anonymity, forgetting that their purpose demands boldness. But true alignment requires letting go of that fear, choosing instead to trust the one who designed their distinctive identity. Recall the promise in 1 Peter 2 verse 9, where it declares you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation. That is not a broad suggestion, but a personal decree meant to anchor your courage. This is your sacred moment to decide. Will you retreat into the familiar shadow, or will you step into the luminous calling you were crafted to fulfill? Now that you recognize the patterns of divine preparation woven through every chapter of your life, it's time to claim your role with unwavering resolve. Release the doubt that urges you to shrink back. Release the longing for conformity. Speak your declaration. I was crafted for this time. My differences are my destiny. Cultivate daily practices to reinforce this identity. Moments of reflection on your unique journey, gratitude for every twist that carved your character, and intentional acts of service that let your gift shine. Surround yourself with those who celebrate your distinctive light, who challenge you to lead with authenticity. Trust that each brave step you take in your special purpose summons fresh grace to guide you forward. Carry this revelation into every sphere you inhabit. Your sensitivity is sacred armor, your intensity a clarion call, your uniqueness the divine signature on every miracle you will birth. Comment chosen if you recognize how every struggle has prepared you for this moment. Let this declaration resonate in your spirit. I am no accident. I am a masterpiece forged by trials, crafted by grace, and appointed for now. Stand tall. Chosen one, for the world awaits the gift only you can bring, the glow and the resistance. They've watched you walk into rooms and felt something shift in the air, as though your presence carried a pulse of light they couldn't ignore. You know that when you speak words of hope, eyes follow in awe, but when you withdraw, you sense whispers circling like vultures. You felt the tension tighten around your heart when someone's gaze flickered from admiration to judgment, and you've questioned why shining your truth provokes such strong reactions. Yet know this, you are not alone in this experience. Many chosen ones have discovered that their radiance unsettles those still bound by fear, and that this duality, both love and resistance, is a signal that your light carries power too potent for the darkness to contain. Tonight, you will uncover why your glow draws both support and sabotage, how every mocking eye confirms your calling, and why this resistance is the signpost pointing to your destiny. The struggle of being both celebrated and attacked for your inner light cuts deep. You recall times when a friend once praised your faith, only to spread subtle rumors behind your back, twisting your kindness into naivety. You felt your stomach, not the first time compliments at work dimmed into gossip about your motivations. You've sat in family gatherings where your optimism was met with eye rolls and condescending smiles, as though your hope threatened their comfort in cynicism. The confusion lingered. Were you too bright for them to handle, or was your glow exposing shadows they refused to face? The sting of rejection from those who once stood close took a toll on your spirit, convincing you at times that masking your light would spare you the ache of betrayal. Yet every attempt to dim your radiance left you hollow, as though your very soul was starved of the brilliance it was born to share. Then, in a moment of prayerful stillness, a new perspective broke through. You opened an ancient volume and found a reference in Zechariah 3 verse 2, where the angel says, "The Lord rebuke you, Satan. The Lord who has chosen Jerusalem rebuke you." You realized that the attacks you faced were not random offenses, but spiritual pushback against the very light you carried. Your glow challenged the dark forces around you, provoking them to rise in fear and defiance. In that instant, you understood that resistance was not a mark of failure, but of victory. No one launches an assault on that which they do not fear. Your light was too genuine, too powerful, and that truth was a threat to every lie they held dear. With this revelation, confusion gave way to clarity. Your struggles were evidence that your glow was fulfilling its purpose. As you embraced this truth, subtle signs of transformation began to ripple through your world. You noticed that conversations once fraught with tension now found a turning point when you spoke words rooted in compassion. You saw doors open unexpectedly, invites to speak, opportunities to serve, relationships realigned in the wake of your unshakable hope. Even your personal mirror reflected a change. You carried yourself with an ease that stemmed from knowing your light could not be dimmed by others' darkness. People who once skirted around you now gravitated toward your glow as a beacon in their own storms. Each moment of genuine connection, each instance where your presence dissolved fear in another's heart, was proof that your radiance served as a catalyst for transformation. These shifts were no accident, but the fingerprints of divine timing aligning circumstances to showcase the power of your light. Behind these visible changes, unseen forces were orchestrating every detail of your ascent. Angels ministered to your spirit in the silent hours, fortifying your resolve when mockery threatened to dim your flame. Synchronicities, an uplifting verse appearing on your phone, a stranger's smile at the precise moment you felt lowest, revealed a hidden network of support working tirelessly to protect your glow. Even in the face of sabotage, you found that every false accusation was met by divine correction. Truths exposed at just the right moment, testimonies rising to drown out deceit. These interventions were not coincidences, but the weaving of a tapestry you could not yet fully see, each thread a testament that your calling was real, intentional, and backed by a power beyond comprehension. Now, as these divine alignments become undeniable, you may hesitate to fully embrace the glow that provokes both love and attack. Many resist the full embodiment of their radiance out of fear. Fear of renewed backlash, fear of standing out even more, fear that exposure will bring vulnerability. They choose to play small, dimming their light in hopes of avoiding further wounds. Yet true alignment demands that you reject such compromise and claim your position as a beacon. Reflect on the promise in Isaiah 60 verse 1. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. This is not a gentle suggestion, but a clarion call to step out of the shadows of hesitation and stand boldly in the brilliance you were designed to reflect. Knowing that your glow is both a gift and a battleground, it's time to seize your authority and move forward with unwavering confidence. Release the doubt whispering that you must shrink your brightness to avoid attacks. Release the temptation to mute your convictions, to appease those who live in fear. Speak your declaration. My light is unstoppable. My glow pierces every darkness. Cultivate practices that reinforce this identity. Daily affirmations that celebrate your radiance, prayers that anchor you in divine protection, and acts of service that let your light guide others away from shadow. Surround yourself with fellow glow-bearing souls who honor your radiance and challenge you to shine ever brighter. Trust that each step in faith fans the flame of your influence and silences the lies of the darkness. Carry this revelation into every corner of your life. Your presence shines with a radiance they cannot comprehend. Your glow is the battle cry that dismantles fear, and your calling is validated by the very resistance it provokes. Comment glow if you feel both the love and the backlash that follows your radiance. Let this declaration echo in your spirit. I shine not for the approval of many, but to reflect the one whose light never fails. Embrace your glow, chosen one, for within it lies the power to awaken the world from its slumber and lead all toward the dawn of freedom. From trials to triumph, from the moment you first tasted betrayal, your soul began to forge its own armor. The sting of a friend's backstab cut deeper than any blade, and yet in its wound lay the seed of your deepest resilience. You remember the weight of that anger, the nights spent replaying conversations that ended with doors slamming and hearts closing. In the morning light, you carried not only the ache of loss, but the burning question, why did this happen to me? It felt like a cruel twist of fate, a sign that you must be broken rather than built. Yet in that darkness, another truth waited to be revealed, that every trial you faced was not an endpoint, but the beginning of a journey toward triumph. You are not alone in this path. Many chosen ones have stared into the abyss of suffering only to rise as warriors of grace. Tonight, you will see how your setbacks were the chisel shaping your destiny, and why every tear you shed added strength to your character. At times, life's challenges seemed relentless. You weathered job losses that rattled your sense of security and watched investments vanish overnight, leaving you scrambling to rebuild. You felt the ground shift under your feet when relationships crumbled without warning, leaving you to wonder if anyone would stand by you when it mattered most. You endured health scares that stole your breath and planted fear in your bones. In each of these moments, confusion reigned, and purpose felt lost in a haze of anxiety and doubt. You asked yourself if there was value in enduring pain rather than avoiding it. You longed for clarity, for a sign that your suffering was not wasted but working towards something greater. Those sleepless nights, filled with restless prayers and tearful pleas, taught you that when everything else is gone, faith remains. Then came the turning point when you recognized your hardships as part of a divine curriculum rather than random cruelty. The story of Esther whispered across centuries to meet you in your darkness. In Esther 4, verse 14, her cousin Mordecai reminds her that she may have been placed in the palace for such a time as this. You felt that same nudge in your spirit, the sense that every hardship was positioning you for influence far beyond your imagination. What seemed like exile in your own life was actually a secret training ground where humility, patience, and empathy were forged. You realized that your suffering was not a detour, but the very path designed to awaken the authority and compassion needed to guide others. That revelation transformed your perspective. Pain was not punishment, but preparation for the triumph that lay ahead. As you embraced this purpose, subtle but profound shifts began to appear in your daily reality. Conversations that once dried up in awkward silence blossomed into meaningful connections, as though people who had avoided you before now sensed your heart's depth and wanted to draw near. Opportunities that had felt beyond reach, speaking engagements, leadership roles, creative projects, opened before you with surprising ease. You found yourself offering wisdom drawn from your scars, and others leaned in, hungry to learn from your journey. Even mundane moments, like a coffee break or a walk in the park, took on new significance as reminders of restored joy. These changes were not coincidences, but footprints of divine timing, aligning your steps with the unfolding of your triumph. Behind these visible transformations, unseen forces worked to elevate your destiny. Angels guarded your path in moments when doubt threatened to pull you back, whispering peace when fear rose like a tidal wave. Synchronicities, like the perfect verse appearing when you needed hope, or a mentor crossing your path at the exact moment you questioned your calling, confirmed that you were guided by a power beyond your own making. Even the setbacks that once felt crushing revealed themselves as pivots toward new opportunities, each seemingly closed door redirecting you toward a more fitting arena of influence. These interventions were the manifestation of faith in action, proving that trials were not tests of endurance alone, but deliberate setups for your elevation. Now, caught between the memory of your suffering and the vision of your triumph, you may hesitate to let go of old patterns of self-protection. Many cling to their scars, believing them necessary to prove their legitimacy or to shield against future pain. They resist stepping fully into authority for fear that doing so will invite new trials. Yet true transformation demands more than mere survival. It requires full acceptance of the authority birthright by your journey. Reflect on the promise in James 1 verse 12, which says the one who endures when tested will receive the crown of life promised by the Lord. Your reward is not a trophy, but the position of victory, a dominion over every circumstance you once feared. Now that you sense the shift, seize this moment to step into your rightful authority. Release the doubt that says your scars make you unworthy of leadership. Release the fear that victory will make you vulnerable once more. Speak your declaration. My trials crafted me. My triumph empowers me. I lead with the wisdom only suffering can forge. Cultivate practices that solidify this truth. Daily reflections on lessons learned, gratitude for every challenge overcome, and mentoring those who walk paths similar to yours. Surround yourself with a community that lifts you higher, challenges you to embody your triumph, and celebrates every victory, big or small. Trust that each act of faith activates the authority you earned in the fires of experience. Carry this revelation into every arena of your life. From trials you emerged not broken, but built into a warrior of grace. From pain you harvested purpose. From nights of doubt you harvested divine insight. Comment refined if you felt your suffering shape your strength. Let this declaration echo in your spirit. I transform trials into triumph. I lead with compassion born of pain, and I shine as proof that God's refining process always yields glory. Step forward, chosen one, for your dominion awaits, guided by the wisdom of your past and the promise of your destiny. Unleashing divine authority, you have endured moments when every affirmation of your worth was drowned by voices insisting you remain small. You have felt the frustration of speaking truth only to be met with doubts. The sting of being told your ideas were too bold or impractical for anyone to follow. In the silence of your heart, you wondered if leadership was a dream meant for someone else, someone more qualified, more experienced, more acceptable by human standards. Yet you are not alone in this inner conflict. Many chosen ones have wrestled with the tension between their calling to lead and the world's insistence that they obey. Tonight, you will discover that your authority is not a gift to be earned, but a right to be claimed, bestowed by the one who fashions kings and queens in the realm of the Spirit. Prepare to step into a dominion that transcends human accolade, powered by divine endorsement and unshakable purpose. Your journey toward authority was neither linear nor easy. You weathered seasons when your voice trembled with uncertainty, when your prayers for direction seemed to dissipate into emptiness. You faced rejection from mentors who could not see beyond your rough edges, and you watched peers soar past you, seemingly without effort. Those setbacks left scars, fueling doubt that whispered you lacked what it took to lead. You tried to rely on strategies borrowed from the world, networking tactics, self-help mantras, and the pursuit of credentials, only to find that no amount of external validation could replace the inner certainty you craved. Every title you chased felt hollow next to the calling pulsing in your spirit. It was in the crucible of these struggles that the foundations of your divine authority were laid, waiting for the moment when you would stand and declare, "I am called." Then came the turning point, a moment of revelation that reframed every trial as preparation for dominion. In the little-known prophecy of Habakkuk 2 verse 14, it asserts, "For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea." That overflow of glory is your birthright, an anointing that floods every arena you enter. You realize that your authority was never about mastering techniques or fitting into molds, but about carrying the knowledge of divine glory into every corner of your life. Your past defeats became case studies in humility, sharpening your capacity to empathize. Your unanswered prayers crystallized into faith that did not require proof. In that instant, you understood that leadership through heaven's lens is less about commanding people and more about channeling heavenly power to shift atmospheres. As this revelation took root, signs of transformation began to surface, both within you and around you. You noticed that when you spoke, doors opened that no network could unlock. Ideas you whispered in prayer congregations resonated in boardrooms and living rooms alike, as though your words carried an unearthly weight. Tasks that once seemed daunting, leading a team, launching a project, guiding a group through crisis, became natural extensions of your identity. Even in moments of decision, you sensed an uncanny clarity, an inner compass that pointed you toward paths aligned with your destiny rather than your fears. Relationships deepened as people recognized the authority you bore, seeking your counsel and guidance. These shifts were unmistakable footprints of divine timing, aligning every circumstance to reflect the authority entrusted to you. Behind these visible changes, unseen spiritual currents were orchestrating your ascent. Angels camped around your vulnerabilities, fortifying you in moments when human support faltered. Synchronicities, like coincidental encounters with those who would become key allies or sudden insights during meditation, revealed a hidden network working on your behalf. Even your challenges served as launch pads. Obstacles that seemed meant to stop you instead became springboards that propelled you into higher realms of influence. Legacy, abundance, and eternal impact. You may have wondered if your journey would ever mean more than personal growth, if your breakthroughs would fade into memory, or if the lessons you learned would die with you. But here's the truth. Your triumph is far from the final chapter. It is the ignition point for a legacy that stretches beyond your lifetime. In moments when life felt like a series of narrow passages, you walked through as though guided by invisible hands, and that path now becomes the highway for those who follow. You are not merely a survivor of trials. You are the spark that ignites courage in every generation. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment, "I am chosen to let this message anchor in your soul." Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you to all supporting members. Your faith fuels this mission. Close with this final mantra. Stand tall, chosen one. Your appointed moment is now. This isn't the end of the story. It is the moment when all your experiences converge to reveal a grand design beyond human comprehension. You are not alone on this brink. Many chosen ones have stood here, and tonight, You will embrace the truth that your life is the living proof of divine intention.